This is just me and just my personal opinion. Everything that comes out of my mouth is just my personal opinion. I have to get that disclaimer out there right away. Hey, everybody, it's Thursday, Relationship Thursday. Got the red shirt on for love. How you guys doing today? All right. So, I've been wanting to hit on this topic for a while now. Um, the topic of masculinity, and I mean true masculinity, and femininity, true femininity. And I feel like it's quite misunderstood. And so I hope that I can at least bring my perspective to it today. And I have a friend coming on today that's gonna bring her perspective to it too. So this came up yesterday. Well, actually, it comes up frequently in posts about what men do and what women do, and it's kind of like the battle of the sexes happening all the time. My fingers are fatter than usual today for some reason. Well, that's great. I can wave at Amanda. I'll have you on here in a sec, Amanda. Oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening. You know how many times I've done this? But I've had trouble with this before, but not like this. This is the worst. So Amanda and I were talking last night about the misunderstandings between the masculine energy and the feminine energy. I guess I want to start out the conversation by saying that we're probably going to talk about men and women a lot, but I want y'all to know that personally, I believe and understand that there are men that have primarily feminine energy inside them, and there are women that have primarily masculine energy inside them. Sometimes it's just easier to say men or women, and I think almost everyone does that anyways. Who do you think is a great example or a great role model of femininity? And it doesn't have to be someone from pop culture necessarily, or someone even from this age. I always think of Marilyn Monroe. Not because she was beautiful, but because she was feminine. I don't even know if beautiful is a good word to describe Marilyn Monroe. I think that, I mean, I find her terribly attractive. But if I was only analyzing her physical features, I don't know if I would find her that attractive. And as a rule, when I am looking for someone Princess Diana, very good. That's an excellent example, I think. Gosh, Amanda, this is killing me. I have no idea what I'm doing wrong here. Live, I have no idea why this is happening. I just don't understand. You know what's weird? I can add other people, but not you. Are you a spy or something? You got a little bit of that Marilyn essence happening there, don't you? One of the things that Amanda and I were talking about last night was how we have these societal pressures on women to be successful in their careers and in business and things like that. And it seems like that kind of success requires some masculine energy. And there's a lot of societal pressures on men as well to be less masculine or to be more feminine. This is just me and just my personal opinion. Everything that comes out of my mouth is just my personal opinion. I have to get that disclaimer out there right away. Women actually make better managers than men, but as a general rule, very general. But also that men make better leaders because they have more of a tendency to see the ultimate direction, that kind of thing. Hello, who's here? Amanda. Amanda, you did it. Great. So yeah, I didn't want to come on here by myself and talk about masculine energy and feminine energy without having some balance to it. So I'm really glad that you came on. Um,
Definitely.
so we were talking. Sierra just made a comment a few minutes ago about the qualities that it takes to run a home and the qualities that it takes to run a business being very similar. And I said to Sierra, I said I've always felt that women are amazing managers, but that men are probably uh, more better suited to lead, if that makes sense. How do you feel about
Yeah,
that?
yeah, definitely. It's funny because we think of, motherhood and being a woman and, the wife and stuff as very nurturing and feminine, but those are actually very masculine roles, right? Like we are nurturing, we're the caretaker, right? That's very masculine actually. That's the doing and the action, whereas the feminine is more the being and the allowing and the receiving, right? And so when we're being, well, depends on what role we do choose to play in a marriage. But if we're being the parent, the mother, the caretaker of everyone, including the husband, um, that's very masculine. And then you have um, two masculine energies coming to the table. And, that's, I think we talked about polarity yesterday, and that
Yeah,
kind of decreases the
yes.
polarity.
Yeah, polarity is definitely a thing. Um, so I just want to hit on one sort of theme that I see happening a lot in our culture today, and that is that there seems to be a belief that masculinity equals powerful and femininity equals weakness somehow. And I really want to smash that myth into bits. If so, the photo that I sent you this morning is of the four archetypes, and I know there's a lot of Tony Robbins people here who have probably heard of the four archetypes and been introduced to the four archetypes by Tony. Uses it as a coaching strategy, which is great, but Tony uses a very simplified sort of model to introduce you to the concept and to help you to sort of find your power. And it's a great strategy. Um, but the model and he actually uses one set of archetypes for both men and women, for both masculine and feminine. He calls it the sovereign instead of the king or the queen. And then he uses the warrior for both genders, which is fine, and the magician and the lover. And so the one model that I showed you, I'm not I'm not even sure where I got this actual photo, but my understanding is that So Carl Jung developed this model, the four archetypes: the king, the warrior, the magician, and the lover. But he developed it in for the masculine only, and it was his wife that developed the feminine model. So, which makes sense. Um, and so the feminine model was, so the one that I sent you shows the queen, the mother, the wise woman, and the lover. But I've seen another one that shows the queen, the mother, the sorceress, and the lover, kind of along the same lines. But in both cases, the only difference is that the warrior is changed out for the mother. And so there's so much similarity in these two models of archetypes, even though they're polar opposites in one way. But I just want to address the concept of the powerful sort of uh, aspect of masculinity that seems to come from the warrior. And I would respectfully submit to those who think that femininity equals weakness, that replacing the warrior with the mother is an equal power on a different pole, if that makes sense. If you think that the mother is not a powerful archetype, you've never got between a mother grizzly bear and her cubs. And if you have, you're probably not here to talk about it. So,
Yeah, definitely. There's yeah, that makes complete sense the way you described it, and I guess I always think of it as too. It's just I guess um, a grounded, powerful strength like core in both of them, and they're both within all of us as well. But it's like just from the feminine aspect, it's very strong actually, and it's just it's very strong to the core if that makes sense, but it doesn't but it can show up differently if that makes sense. So like
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, it can show up in a lot of ways. And so in our relationships, I there's more than one way to be powerful too. And so, in our relationships, the when you experience the power of your partner or you feel it, it comes up in a lot of different ways too. But where it seems to be diminished is when we're both trying to operate on the same plane. And so I find that a really feminine woman will, I'll be pulled to her. You know what I mean? And and I mean, if that's not powerful, you know, it's incredibly powerful. And I
Is
know that,
how's that? Oh god.
yeah, yeah. And I know that when I go into my most masculine form, I can be incredibly attractive as well. And so there's that. But um, it seems like there's things that happen in our lives and in our relationships that cause stress and fear and those kind of things. And just like every other part of your life, when it happens in your relationship, it sort of takes you out of your power. And so for men, this is where things get misunderstood so much. When a man is experiencing too much stress in his life or he starts to become fearful, he has a tendency to go to the feminine side. And when a woman is experiencing a lot of stress or or she's becoming fearful about something that's happening in her life or a relationship, she tends to go to the masculine side. I don't know why that is exactly, but it's a tendency. And so when the stressor is in the relationship and both partners are feeling it at the same time, and in fact, it could be, in a lot of cases, what happens is that only one partner feels the stressor initially, but when that partner starts to go to the opposite energy, then their partner feels that stress then, and then they start to go to the opposite energy too. There's sort of a meeting in the middle, and then there's no polarity at all, or there's a meeting on one side. I don't know if I'm getting that across very well.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think, um, yeah, and the reasons, I guess some of the reasons for those, um, when we do show up in the masculine, not we as in I'm the only woman here, but you know, there's defense mechanisms, right? And oftentimes, what are we feel fearful of as women, or men for that matter? Like if there's uncertainty, right? Okay, well, we need the plan. We need the plan right now, right? And and that makes us feel safe, right? We're not feeling safe, and you know, the reasons can go, most of the time do go all the way back to childhood, right? And just how our brain is wired, and the defense mechanisms that we picked up along the way. And, you know, so yeah, as we go along with those, if we're not aware of them, it can really, you know, shift up the relationship to a place where you know, maybe you don't really want it to go, because it was kind of, the pattern was kind of implemented by the subconscious fear that, you know, even though you think you're doing, you know, okay, well, I'm scared of his health, he's going to die and leave me, right? But okay, so now I need to make sure that you're eating correctly, I'm going to make sure that you don't drink coffee in the morning, and you know, and then all of a sudden you're, you know, he's married to his mother instead of his beautiful feminine wife that he was so attracted to begin with. um, and at this So yeah, just for one example, not to keep
Yeah,
babbling, sorry.
no, no, that's great. That's great. The real life examples are the best because they resonate the most. Yeah. I think for me, it happens. Hi, Lauren. I'm not sure what your question is, Lauren. Um, I think for me, it it showed up a lot when I was being criticized. Life examples are the best
Sorry.
because they resonate
Okay,
most.
sorry. I was trying to see the comments.
Okay, Sierra, we'll see you later. Yeah, so for me, it showed up probably the most when I was being criticized. That's felt um, when I felt like I was being attacked, and I don't think that that was necessarily her intention, or at least not her highest intention. And so it it sort of took me out of my, took my confidence away. It took my, and so I started to slide towards that other energy. And in that moment, there's no way you could have got me to admit that I was moving towards a feminine energy. Even now, today, this is something that happened like a year ago, and I'm having a hard time admitting it right now. But um, it, it's the only thing that really makes sense. And so we got to that place where we were just like this, and it's but we worked, we both worked, and we both got out of it. And um, I know that as a man, in those kind of situations where that stress is happening, and that sort of that butting of the heads, I know that if I can just pull back and get back into who I really am, that I can help her to get back to who she really is too. And you know, sometimes it was as easy as just taking her, just holding her and just looking into her eyes and saying, this is going to be okay. We're going to get through this. Whatever the stressor is, we're going to be okay. I hear what you're saying. I understand where you're coming from, and I want you to know that we're going to be fine. And
Yeah,
just allowing it instead of fighting it.
yeah,
That was always my
definitely.
that was always my tendency, because usually it came it came to me as a criticism, or I felt that it was a criticism even if it maybe wasn't. um, and so when a man is feels criticized, that's what he does. He has more of a tendency to try and defend than to listen. If you want to get a guy to close his ears, just criticize.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And I know even, and yeah, just taking that radical responsibility in the relationship, like looking back to in my marriage, it was, I can see I can recognize the parts that I played, you know, like with, even like you said, like attaching, the different meanings to things, right? And becoming defensive or not, like, okay, so you're not home for dinner. Oh my God, you don't love me, and it was, you know, it was very personal, right? And but you know, with enough of me talking to myself like that, and that wounded feminine there, um, it would come off as criticizing too, right? And so then here I am playing that part of the meaning that I attached to it, when really you just want to have fun and ride your damn dirt bike. That's okay, you know. So yeah, I hear you. Just the different meanings, or that you would attach to something, and then you would bring out your defense mechanisms, which, you know, are closed off too, right? Like that's not fun for anybody. And I did that all the time. I withdrew. I felt unsafe and unseen, and but a lot of that too was my own meanings that I attached to things to feel unseen as well. Just to own my part in it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's such an important part of it too. The what was the third one? Unsafe, unseen. Do you remember the third one?
Misunderstood.
Yes, yes. You know why I forgot that one? Because that's the one that I'm the worst at.
Fair enough. Definitely. I
Um,
remember all of the ones for men though, because I did every single one of them. I was closed off. I would criticize, not even meaning to or intending to. Yeah, and I would try to, you know, control in my own way of like, okay, well, now I'm mad, right? And I didn't recognize that that's what I was doing. But now looking back, I'm like, oh my God, it all makes so much sense. So definitely, um,
yeah. Hi,
yeah.
Carmen. Yeah, so I was great at making her feel seen, and I was pretty good at making her feel safe. But making so she would come to me with a problem, and I would be like, okay, she'd talk for like 30 seconds. Okay, so this is happening at work, and this guy, and he's just bothering me, and he's just an asshole, and it's causing me a great deal of grief. And I'd be like, okay, stop. Here's what you want to do.
Oh, definitely, definitely. And then to be fair though too, I think understanding the differences though too, like we know, like to recognize too that was it you who said like maybe but to recognize too that like what, I can go shopping with my girlfriends. I don't have to bring my man with me, right? If that's not his thing, I don't have to tell long drawn out stories to him because that's not how their brain works, right? And that kind of stuff. Of course you want to tell some things, but also to recognize like if you're with a masculine man, he wants to solve your problem. Like that's what he does. Like that's what masculine energy does. And he wants to put a smile on your face, and he does not like it when you're feeling sad and down. He wants to make it better. He wants you to smile, especially if you're the queen of his heart. So just
Yeah,
knowing that part of it too.
yeah, yeah, that's so true. I've had so many misunderstandings in my relationships because of that. And it's something that I continue to struggle with a little bit. In fact, uh, I was having a conversation with someone who's a family member, and so she started talking to me about some things that were bothering her, and I did the same thing. I did the same thing. Just said, "Here's what you got to do." She's like, "I'm not even done talking yet." It's
Yeah,
like,
sure.
you're terrible at this.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah, I
was like,
think
what
like
do you
that's a
mean?
really
I have the perfect strategy. I mean, I I know exactly what to do.
oh,
So,
definitely.
so I got to
Definitely.
work on that.
Fair enough. Yeah. And I think when you have like two people, right, that are actually willing to actually see those sides, but also, and I heard this, I'm sure from Tony too, to make sure like you're aware, noticing where, oh, how did he term it? I don't know, but recognizing the other person's intent, right? Like your intent is not to not listen and shut her up and solve her problem quickly. Your intent is to help, right? So looking at uh, people with the perspective that okay, your intentions come from a place of good, and so
Yeah, yeah, that's
yeah.
exactly right. And it's the same with the criticism as well. If if you're a man and you're being criticized and you believe that her intention is to cut you down, then that conversation's not going to go very well. And so it helps to have a bit of understanding of what she's trying to do, what she's trying to accomplish, or where she's trying to get. So, and men are so bad at receiving that. If the criticism is has a good intention, it's never it's so hard for a man to accept it. One thing that works really well, if I could give advice to a woman, when you have something that you see that needs to improve, when you go to your man, go up to him and say, I love you so much, and you are such an amazing man for wanting to fix the sink. I'm so happy that you want us to have a working sink, and I'm so happy that you want to be the guy to fix it. But I think you should call a plumber.
so so yeah, I hear you. I was gonna say too with I don't know if that okay, so fair enough if that uh, would work. One thing too, like from both sides, right? So if the woman is not aware and she criticizes something, um, like you're a terrible plumber, right? And so for the man, if he's the aware one, he can turn around and because I'm all about radical responsibility, right? Like, so whatever, you don't have to take it. If somebody throws a shoe, you don't have to put it on. So like to kind of not deflect it like in an aggressive way or anything, but just to put it where it is. So oh, honey, you're concerned about my plumbing abilities, or honey, you're concerned that the sink's not going to be fixed in time, right? So you're putting her feelings back where they belong, which are hers. Like, okay, so how can I help you soothe this? You're worried about this. I understand. So, but then at the same time, um, if you are the woman that is aware, then yeah, you can approach it in a way like, that, hey, you know what? I'm feeling really nervous about. So you're kind of saying the problem for him to solve. So, hey, I'm nervous about the sink not being fixed in time, and leave it at that, perhaps, right? That way, and you know, I don't know. I think I mean, I don't know. I was going to say, I think we all know our abilities when it comes to plumbing or something, but I've tried to fix a few things and it didn't quite work out. So, I mean, at the same time, yeah, I don't know. Sometimes
Yeah.
it's more of a mess if you let, things go, or like, I'll let the kids do the dishes or something. Not to compare a man to kids by any means, but, I let them do the dishes because, that saves our relationship rather than me saying, come on, you're making a mess. I got to redo all these. And so sometimes the relationship is more important than, whatever you're scared of happening, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Definitely. I totally agree. Yeah. If only we could see that in the moment when it's happening all the time,
Right.
then there'd
Like
never
you
be
were,
any problems.
yeah, like you were saying yesterday about practice, right? It's to practice.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a practice because we never get it perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, I'm sure glad you came on today. Uh, I there's no way that this this topic could have come out the way that it did without having someone like you to balance me out. So I'm really grateful that you came on and that we had this conversation. And I feel like hopefully we opened up something good with in a positive way, and and I hope that this conversation continues.
definitely. Thank you so much. This was so nice. It was great to have met you, and so thank you.
Yeah, yeah, no problem. All right, let's do it again sometime.
Okay, perfect.
All right,
All right, bye, Dave.
bye now. So that's it for Relationship Thursday. Hope you all have a great day.